Welcome back. Internet access rates in the Middle East are growing rapidly. And although web users from the region only make up just over 3% of the world's population, a young growing market for the internet users is shaping the way forward for website owners. As new portals tap into the growing market, what are these sites doing to increase their market share? Well, today we're joined by Paul Kelly, MD of www.me, the latest online concept for music and visuals. Welcome to the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, let's start off with competition in the region. How fierce is the market for new startup websites?
Yeah, I guess it's developing at a good rate. I think there's been a lot of new websites, both with commerce and transactions and things like that, and also a lot of content sites that are coming through in English and Arabic. So the competition, I think, as a whole is growing, but I think in terms of what we're offering, it's actually something quite unique for this region.
Yeah, so tell us about the site. I mean, it focuses on visuals and music as well. Tell us about the originality of the site.
Yeah, it's quite original. It focuses on film, photography and music. And what it does is offer a platform for people to upload their own creative talent, so their own music, their own film, their own photography. And then we also run a number of reviews, interviews, news pieces, and a lot of that type of content. So basically it's a mix of content. It's very unique in the region, in Arabic and English, and it's really, it covers a wide spectrum of different creative talents and industries.
I mean, there's nothing else out there like it as well, is there?
No, not at the moment, no. And that's the really unique offering. There's a number of sites internationally that could potentially carry similar content, but not tailored specifically for this region. So if you want to find a band or a musician in Cairo, for instance, you can find them through our website, where it's a little more difficult on some of the more international sites. And also, there's a strong preference for Arabic people to browse in their own language. So that's also what's very important for us.
Because that's another important thing. There is a lack of Arabic content out there, isn't there?
There's a huge lack, yeah. And some of the research that we've done is basically 60% of the market really wants to browse the internet in their own language. Yeah. Up until now, they've sort of been forced in many ways to browse in English, and even things like the addresses that you type in to a browser or into Google have traditionally been using English characters.
Yeah, of course.
That's now changing a lot. We're starting to see Arabic characters, Arabic search engines, Google Arabic, for instance, and that's really, I think, just the changing nature. I mean, the internet growth is something like 1,600% year on year since 2000.
Wow.
Yeah, in this region. So people are becoming more connected, but still the internet penetration rate is only around 26%. So there's a lot of room to grow compared to, I guess, a lot more established regions in the world that have had this kind of access for a longer period of time.
Definitely. And there's a new sort of like marketing concept as well that you've established. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, basically, I mean, what we've seen and a lot of our market research to date suggested was that a lot of websites that potentially just run static advertising, the banner ads that you might click onto a screen and it fills up your screen with an advertisement, that can really detract from the user's enjoyment of the site.
And potentially, really do, yeah, definitely.
And so what we've tried to do is basically tailor packages and approaches with our brand partners to really enhance the user's experience of the site. So it's more about embedding a product into how we deliver our content as well. So it's less about those visual advertising and more about engaging a consumer about a product. So it could be something to do with film or music and getting interaction from the users, or from the market, talking about products or placing products and things like that. So it's quite a different concept, but it also, I think, treats the users with a lot more respect than potentially what the market expects at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. Now, as a startup business as well, how easy or difficult has it been to establish yourself? And have you sort of looked to investors and maybe some even government funding as well? Yeah,
well, I guess the first question of setting up was a little difficult. There's the usual red tape, and it's no different for an online business as to a normal business. Certainly the free zones help, but definitely the whole setting up of the business and the investment and things like that has all been done by ourselves, self-funded. But we will be looking at rolling out a number of improvements, almost to version 2. We've got to sort of look in the future to future-proof the site. So we're really looking in the future to add a lot of different elements that would really enhance the site, and then potentially we would need external investors for that type of commitment.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Middle Eastern market's very young in terms of, you know, a lot of people being very internet savvy. What are your hopes for the next sort of 5 years? What's your sort of vision?
Well, I think you know, hopefully, you know, it's been well reported, I guess, on the business front. We've got, you know, a relatively small piece of the advertising pie belongs to online now. I think as companies and brands and you know, the people responsible for placing those ads, so the agencies become more aware of, you know, the metrics that are available online, that this will certainly develop, and you know, being almost ahead of that curve is something exciting for us, and we hope, you know, that slice of the advertising pie, which I think at the moment is about 1%, is spent online, you know, whereas a lot of other parts of the world it's up around, you know, 15 to 20%.
Definitely.
So that will definitely grow. We hope to grow with that, but also take people on a journey in terms of our business brand partners, that they don't need to put those kind of ads on a website. They can get a lot more engagement from their consumers. They can almost reach them, you know, have a much further reach into places like Saudi Arabia or Egypt, you know, online, and get a lot more of I guess, an experience from that user interacting with their brands. And then from consumers, we're taking them on a bit of a journey as well. This is a new concept really for this region.
It's very exciting, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's really what we want to sort of show people, that there is an alternative out there to I guess a number of other outlets, and that's what we're trying to provide. The news that you might not really get through the major dailies or anything like that, for instance, you'll be able to find on our site, and you'll be able to start to discover and interact and really realise, you know, the amount of talent that is in this region that perhaps just doesn't have the platform either in its own language, or, you know, that's really promoted in any substantial way.
Them,
yeah, and that's what we'd like to see. I mean, the greatest thing for us would be to discover a new artist that gets signed to a record label, for instance, or a young filmmaker that perhaps gets an opportunity to go overseas, you know, and hone their skills, and then bring those skills back, because I think we're all aware of the demographics in the region. You know, you've got 200 million people. 50% of those are under 25, so there's going to be employment problems in the future. So the more that we can sort of help to also show that there are these other industries and they are viable here, which is also something that we've been trying to prove as well.
Excellent. Well, that's all we've got time for, I'm afraid, but thank you so much for coming on. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it from the business desk. You can contact us, though, at ib@city7tv.com. Up next, more details of the RTA's planned initiative to limit use of private vehicles in Dubai's central business district.